Hi everyone, welcome to Late Night Stocks Vaccine Series. In this video I'm going to talk about Moderna, BioNTech and Novavax. Vaccine stocks are melting down, meanwhile we see the record COVID-19 cases. Is it good time to buy the dip or wait for more drops? First I'm gonna evaluate the latest news about the Omicron variant, after that the pandemic situation in the world. I'm gonna also talk about the H vaccine stocks separately and evaluate the latest news about them. By the way, we are talking about these vaccine stocks every day on Patreon, and if you want to join us, you can find the link down below the video. Before we start, please give a like to increase the visibility of this video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest news about the stock market. As you see from the chart, the Dow Jones index was increasing till yesterday. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq Composite Index was decreasing. When we evaluate these movements, investors, or better to say Wall Street, thinks that the pandemic will be over soon. Let's analyze why they think so. The last day of last year, World Health Organization chiefs said that 2022 can mark the end of pandemic. He was so optimistic even as daily new COVID cases worldwide reached new records. As part of his New Year resolutions, the World Health Organization chief said he would work in collaboration with governments to prioritize vaccine deliveries to global initiatives like COVAX and AVAT, with the target of vaccinating 70% of people in all countries by mid-2022. I'm gonna evaluate these statements at the end of the video whether they are reasonable or not. Omicron, the fastest spreading virus in history. The new variant has traversed the planet in a single month, stunning experts. But uncertainty remains over whether it is less serious for unvaccinated people and the immunocompromised. According to studies, the virus is less effective at infecting the lungs, which would help explain its higher contagiousness and lower mortality. Many Omicron infections, especially in vaccinated people, will be mild, comparable to a short cold. The problem is that there will be serious cases, and because it is so infectious, the total number that will need medical attention will put a strain on the health system. We see the fastest spreading virus ever and the Wall Street is so optimistic. Maybe that's the way how they manipulate the stock market. It seems that with Omicron, the length of a hospital stay is generally shorter and that supplemental oxygen is less likely to be needed. But it should be stressed that we have not yet seen many infections in the elderly. I'm still not convinced that Omicron is inherently milder than the original variant that emerged in Wuhan. It seems to be milder than Delta, but this is because Delta had evolved to be much more severe than its ancestors. Higher immunity seems the most logical explanation for the reduced severity seen in the population, according to an Oxford virologist. Please don't forget that Omicron variant could be an immune escape variant. In that case, probably we had to vaccinate all the people again. Wall Street's hopes for return to office dashed again by COVID. They see the end of the pandemic but can still come back to office. I think the hospitalization rate is an important metric for the pandemic. As of 4th January, we see almost the same hospitalization rates like in August. People in intensive care seems lower because Omicron cases seems milder when we are vaccinated. And still about 20% of hospitalized people needs intensive care. Let's talk about some rumors. COVID-19 variant. What is Delmicron and how is it different from Omicron? While experts are still struggling to understand the nature of this new variant to chalk out the preventive strategy, another variant has come to the fore. Experts believe that this strain is actually responsible for the COVID tsunami in the United States and Europe. I couldn't find a lot of information about this variant, but what happens if a variant spreads like Omicron and dangerous like Delta? Long story short, we face a real pandemic now, and Wall Street is too optimistic. Let's continue with Moderna. Just in a month, we saw $300 and $215 stock prices. The trend is bearish because of too optimistic atmosphere in the Wall Street. Some people say the valuation of Moderna seems like Tesla, because Moderna has a P ratio of 12. The largest company in pharma industry is Johnson & Johnson, and it has more than $400 billion market cap. When Moderna's market cap hits $500-600 billion, then we can say that. Moderna announces Switzerland exercised its option to purchase 7 million additional doses of Moderna COVID-19 booster vaccine in 2022. In addition to that, Moderna announced supply agreement with South Korea for additional 20 million doses of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine or updated booster vaccine in 2022. As you see, the company sold extra 27 million doses last month. This makes about $600 million in revenues. Another good news was Moderna announced first participant dosed in phase 1 study of its mRNA Epstein-Barr virus vaccine. This study was a preclinical and now at phase 1. The company has a blockbuster COVID-19 vaccine. In addition to that, flu vaccine, RSV vaccine, and CMV vaccine at phase 3. We see also advanced studies in cancer vaccines area and therapeutics. The stock price will be very volatile in upcoming months. The good news for the long-term investors is, with this pipeline, Moderna will eventually exceed $300-500 in the long term. In the short term, we may even see below $200, but this will, in my opinion, an absolute buy opportunity. According to analysts, the stock price will be between $86 and $506 next year. It is so sad that these analysts get paid for these stock price targets, but our stock price targets are more accurate. In my opinion, the best strategy for the next 3 months is buy more when it drops. And I don't think that the stock price will drop down $150. The upside potential is still huge. You can buy now and sell at $350 to trend followers. This is the logic behind the money making in the stock market. Last year we saw 25% downs as well as ups. That's why I buy more when it drops. Let's continue with BioNTech. The trend of this stock is not so different in comparison to Moderna stock. We saw $300 last month and yesterday the stock price was $211. Yesterday's drop was not so dramatic because Alphabet was also down about 5%. Wall Street wants to change the trends and pushes the limits. Recently, CDC recommends BioNTech Pfizer's COVID-19 booster for ages 12 to 15. In addition to that, Israel reports very few myocarditis cases among 12-15-year-olds after booster. The link between mRNA vaccines and myocarditis is still unclear for me. Another great news is Pfizer and BioNTech signed new global collaboration agreement to develop first mRNA-based shingles vaccine. This is the third mRNA vaccine collaboration and the product candidates will be based on BioNTech's proprietary mRNA technology and Pfizer's antigen technology. Clinical trials are expected to start in the second half of 2022. And BioNTech will receive $225 million upfront, including an upfront cash payment of $75 million and an equity investment of $150 million, and will be eligible to receive future approval and sales milestones payments totaling up to $200 million, as well as share of gross profits arising from the future product sales. As you see, the company gets up to $500 million just for the product development. Another strong signal is Pfizer believes in the success of BioNTech's mRNA platform, and we will probably see additional collaborations in the future. So far so good, but how big is the shingles market? GSK sees shingles vaccine sales rising as free cash flow concerns wide. This is a bit outdated article, but GSK could make $1.3 billion from its shingles vaccine sales. Now we are in 2022 and the vaccine will be in the market earliest by 2025 maybe. The companies can generate around $2 billion from their sales. When we come back to stock price, the stock price hit $211 yesterday. And you see the stock price in April $122. I'm showing that date because we published our first video about BioNTech and also our first video in our channel. And we put $350 stock price target at that time. The market cap of BioNTech was about $50 billion yesterday, and its P ratio is around 6. First of all, we are glad that the stock price hit $450, even exceeded our price target. Now BioNTech is totally undervalued. Of course, it doesn't mean that $211 is the dip. The majority doing a lot of mistakes, that's why some people getting super rich. I bought more shares and gonna even buy more when it drops below $200. BioNTech has very strong pipeline like Moderna and will eventually exceed $100 billion and $200 billion market cap. Of course, it won't happen tomorrow, but if you are patient enough, you won't lose your money. Let's have a look at Novavax. Like other vaccine stocks, Novavax in a bearish trend, and last month we saw even $230. Novavax further delays FDA filing for COVID-19 vaccine. This filing was planned in December, but it has delayed. Novavax has a lot of times delayed, but finally got a lot of approvals. I don't think that this is the reason behind the recent sell-offs. When we have a look at its pipeline, we see at the top the coronavirus vaccine. It's not anymore at phase 3, actually it's marketed. And in addition to this, a flu vaccine at phase 3 and RSV vaccine also at phase 3. Novavax pipeline is not so advanced like Moderna or BioNTech, but if you consider its market cap, everything seems priced in. That's why, even having a premium vaccine, the market cap is below $10 billion. Now you see the revenue estimates. For the last year, the company missed the revenue expectations because of delays, but for the next year, low estimation was $3 billion and high estimation was about $8 billion. When we add the revenues from last year to this year, we see up to $10 billion high revenue estimation, and low one is $4 billion. With that stock price, Novavax will have about 2 price to sales ratio next year in the worst case. It is good to remember what World Health Organization chief said about the end of the pandemic. He emphasized the organizations like COVAX and the target of vaccination 70% of people in all countries by mid-2022. Novavax and the Serum Institute of India will be the main supplier of COVAX. Without them, it's almost impossible to reach that target. Please look at the statistics. About 50% of population is fully vaccinated in the world, and the doses have been given was about 9.21 billion. The world has to produce at least 5 billion extra doses to reach these fully vaccination targets. In addition to that, in developed countries, more and more boosters. Even if we reach these targets, it's still unclear what we will face. When we come back to stock price, the stock price is at 1 year's low, even a lot of good news from the company. I think it's not the best time to sell Novavax shares. It is hard to predict when we will see about $250 or $300. That's why these stocks are very volatile. Many investors do buy the dip, sell to news. This stock is still very manipulative, but you can take advantage of it. When I summarize what I told you, the Wall Street is very optimistic about the end of pandemic and wants to change the trends. In reality, we face 1 million cases per day in the US and still a lot of hospitalization like in August. The Omicron variant is the fastest spreading virus ever. That's why we will see a lot of variants in the near future. Maybe some of them will be a variant of concern. I don't know, nobody knows, but the Wall Street is too optimistic. I'm more cautious than being optimistic. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please don't forget, this is not investment advice. Thanks for watching till then. Please give a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Bye.